Today, I'll tell you how to boost your testosterone through your diet. Honestly, I don't like the phrase boost testosterone. And honestly, it sounds like tell me how to get rich or tell me where to get strength. Because testosterone isn't some kind of drink like tea, and it's not a magic pill either. It's the natural language of our body, the way our body communicates with our cells. And all of this doesn't come out of thin air. It's formed from simple things like food, sleep, light, stress, and movement. If even one link is missing, for example, if you stop sleeping, you won't have normal testosterone levels. The whole orchestra starts playing out of tune. Imagine a big orchestra with 20 great performers, but one isn't a real performer. Let's put a school kid there. Will our overall composition be good, beautiful, and resonant? Of course not. That's why today I'll show you 5 products that can really affect your testosterone levels. But not because there's some kind of magic element, but because they all affect key philosophies, experiments, receptors, and mitochondria. And all of this helps us produce hormones. Friends, I try to share useful articles, news, and life hacks almost every day. How can a man stay a man? How can he stay resourceful, energetic, and in good shape? I write one article myself every day and rarely skip. So follow the link to my Telegram channel, subscribe, and benefit from it. Become the best version of yourself. The first product, you probably remember the movie Rocky, what he used to gulp down in the morning before running outside. It's eggs. First of all, this is the main substrate. Let's break down why eggs. Because they contain the yolk, which is a concentrate of the biochemistry of life. Cholesterol, phospholipids, vitamin D, zinc, selenium, choline, omega-3. All of this is necessary for your body to synthesize hormones, including steroid testosterone. Testosterone synthesis in Leydig cells happens from cholesterol through oxidation. This takes place in our testicles, in the mitochondria of Leydig cells, under the influence of the protein STER, which stands for steroid acute regulatory protein. They transport the cholesterol molecule inside, where the enzyme cytochrome P 450-1101 converts it into pregnenolone. This is the first step of steroidogenesis. Without cholesterol, this pathway doesn't start, it doesn't begin. And cholesterol from eggs is the most bioavailable and the safest that nature could ever come up with. Most importantly, vitamin D in the yolk also activates receptors in those same Leydig cells. And it enhances the expression of this STER. So what is expression? It's the activity of a gene. So the gene stays the same, but its activity changes. Egg, on one hand, it provides you with building material, but at the same time, it also activates the testosterone synthesis system in the yolk, which we often hear about as well. It also participates in the synthesis of the acetylcholine we need. This is a neurotransmitter, and it regulates erection and the transmission of signals, for example, from the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland. This is also very important. Silin protects cells from oxidation, acting as a strong antioxidant. And this is exactly what destroys the testicles in men with chronic stress. And no other product has such a combination. 2 eggs a day is actually not about atherosclerosis, as you often think. On the contrary, it's about healthy blood vessels. It's about a healthy male body. So the paradigm that you shouldn't eat eggs because they contain cholesterol and cholesterol causes atherosclerosis is not true. I made a separate episode about atherosclerosis and explained that the foods you eat only affect your cholesterol level by 5, at most 10%. And on the contrary, in fact, eggs, which we used to demonize, are now shown to only benefit our bodies. If you don't have any acute contraindications, don't have diabetes, and your body is healthy, you can safely eat eggs. Second place I would probably give to sea fish. It's a very good shield for your body. It's an anti-inflammatory component. Why? Because if the egg creates the hormone, the fish protects it. Sea fish is, I would say, the main source of important, probably even the most important fatty acids, renal omega-3 fatty acids. They decrease due to pro-inflammatory cytokine levels in the body. Which ones are those? These are tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin 6, and they block the activation of nuclear factor KB. This is the main transcription factor of inflammation. Let's try to figure this out and understand it as simply as possible once and for all, because what does chronic inflammation do? It suppresses testosterone synthesis at the level of the hypothalamus, that is, in the brain, and destroys Leydig cells, that is, at the level of our scrotum, in the testis. Men who added 2 to 3 servings of fatty, healthy fish to their diet per week saw an increase in testosterone by an average of 15 to 20% after just 3 months. And the level of the protein that blocks testosterone, sex hormone binding globulin, which binds hormones and prevents you from using them, decreased by as much as 10 to 12%. Omega-3 also inhibits aromatase. This is the enzyme that converts testosterone into estradiol. So if you have enough omega-3 in your diet, you have a much better chance of having more testosterone available to you and lower levels of female hormones. So fish really does help produce hormones, but in addition to that, it also prevents their loss and prevents their conversion into female sex hormones. Another important thing is zinc. There is quite a lot of zinc in various seafood, like sardines, for example. But more often, we see this a lot in movies, by the way, where seafood is shown as sea urchins and more often oysters. Oysters are an aphrodisiac. If you eat oysters, you'll have a good reaction, a good libido. Why? Because they contain a lot of zinc. Zinc is a cofactor for the enzyme 17-B-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, quite a tongue twister, which completes the synthesis of testosterone. And if a man doesn't have enough zinc, unfortunately, he won't have normal testosterone levels. That's why there are zinc-based supplements. For example, the popular supplement zinc monomethionine aspartate, which contains zinc. You take it before bed and your testosterone levels will be higher. And zinc is probably important for women as well. Iron is most important for women, while zinc is likely the top priority for men. Low zinc can lower testosterone. Red meat. Today, many are turning to vegetarianism and veganism, giving up red meat. I think that's foolish because mitochondrial energy comes to us, including from meat. And when the mitochondria get tired, hormones like testosterone stop being produced properly. We often link it just to sexual energy, but it's actually much more an important energy marker. And in Leydig cells, these are the cells that produce testosterone in our testicles, the mitochondria convert cholesterol into pregnenolone, as I already mentioned, and then further into testosterone. But for this, they need, first of all, oxygen, they need iron, they need coenzyme Q10, and they need B vitamins. Guess which product contains a lot of this? Guess it's not grass, right? It's red meat. Liver, by the way, is one of the most concentrated sources of coenzyme Q10 vitamins B2, B6, B12, folates, iron, and copper. And Q10 supports mitochondrial respiration in our body, while B vitamins, for example, are involved in methylation. This is the process of switching genes on and off, including those for steroidogenesis, or in our case, testosterone production. And when you're a vegetarian, what happens with vitamin B12, folates, and iron? Hypogonadism occurs in vegetarians, and I see this quite often as well. At appointments, vitamin B12 and iron are low, energy is lacking, the person appears pale, and the sperm analysis is terrible. And if you think it's all about protein, its sources, and that you can make up for it just with amino acids, that's not the case. This is actually a question of how our metabolism works overall. And that's why 100 to 150 grams of liver once a week is a really good life hack. And you get not only the necessary nutrients, but also protection for our mitochondria. So if you have low testosterone, I have prepared a gift for you. Within a month from the release of this video, I will give away 5 checkups among 5 commenters. Number 4 is probably seeds and nuts. I remember how my dad used to take honey, sour cream, and walnuts, mix it all together and eat it. His father recommended it to him. And you've probably often seen how many men really like to eat this a lot. Why? Because there's a logical explanation for this. It's actually good for the male body. Nuts are like a small, good and healthy laboratory. They contain zinc, magnesium, boron, selenium, arginine, vitamin E, and each component works specifically for testosterone. Zinc activates 5-alpha reductase, which is an enzyme that converts testosterone into the more active dihydrotestosterone. It is dihydrotestosterone that gives you muscle density and makes your prostate healthier and function better. It's true that dihydrotestosterone causes hair loss, but without it, muscle growth would be weak. Libido relies heavily on dihydrotestosterone. When it's lower, libido also drops. Magnesium is also necessary. It reduces sex hormone binding globulin levels and increases the amount of free testosterone, because the more sex hormone binding globulin you have, the less free testosterone you have, and only the free testosterone is what you actually use. Selenium, I already mentioned it. It's an important antioxidant and protects spermatogenesis. So it might seem like I should be talking about some kind of test boosters or miracle remedies, but actually this is the real foundation. These are foods that should be included in the diet of a healthy man every day, or at least once a week, some of them as part of a healthy man's lifestyle. If you want good testosterone levels and enough energy, follow this. If you want your wife to be happy, then please don't forget to eat meat, nuts, seafood, and only then everything else. First of all, it's proper nutrition. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for new episodes.